Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's me again. Welcome back to another episode. So the last episode was a little bit, not really an official episode, I guess. It was just kind of talking about the trees. But today I wanted to jump back into all the mods 10 to the sky and finish up our kind of excursion into Draconic evolution. So the episode before that, we took on the Chaos Dragon and then set up, all those things. But today I wanted to focus on a couple more things from Draconic evolution and, well, mainly the power cube and the reactor. We're going to get into the reactor. You guys will see that also and hopefully realize why you shouldn't really worry about it. But anyways, let's get started with the power cube first. And in order to do that, we're going to have to make a couple of things. We are going to need some of these energy core stabilizers. And by some, I mean 36. And we're also going to need the energy core. And I think that's it. Oh, the pylons also. Let's make some recipes for those. So very easy. Just put those guys in here. And we are going to make the core first. So the pylons, I guess 36 of those, and the core, you only need one. This is super simple setup. Let's get some building blocks like cobblestone, and I'll show you guys. So the original plan for this was, and again, one of the reasons why I took such a big long break between episodes is like sometimes when I run into like a mental block of like these trees were really a big hurdle for me for some reason, because I just couldn't figure it out. And then I was like, you know what I want is kind of like those redwood trees. So anyways, without rambling on, another thing that I really wanted to build that I just struggled so hard to like actually turn into a thing was I wanted to have some kind of like a flying dragon statue that would be like flying in the air here, like kind of like curved body or whatever with its mouth open. And then we're going to build the energy cube or the energy sphere inside of the mouth of the dragon. Another idea I had was like maybe somewhere over here have like a giant dragon head coming out of the ground, and then it would have two arms also coming out of the ground that would hold it. And I thought that would look really cool, but unfortunately it was a little too much for me to figure out in the moment. So I just wanted to move on with the series. What I did come up with was I figured this gazebo thing is a pretty nice central location and it's already kind of spherical. So it would be cool to just build it right on top of this. And that's what we're going to do. So from there, I'm going to go up, I think 9 blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whoops, 6, 7, 8. And do I want it to be 9 from there or 9 from here? Well, let's see. I'm going to put down the core and we can tier up all the way up to the 8th tier, which is the highest tier. And we're going to toggle the build guide. And that's going to be 3 blocks from the bottom, which should be fine. So anyways, put down this energy core in the middle. You're going to go all the way up to the maximum tier because we don't do anything less than maximum around here. After I just explained to you guys that I gave up on trying to build a maximum statue. Anyways, you're going to do that. And then we're going to need to basically fill this entire area in with draconium blocks and the awakened draconium blocks. So I believe I'll put the exact numbers on the screen, but I believe it's a little over 700 blocks of the draconium stuff. And we are going to need some of the awakened as well. So once you have all of those in your inventory, you can click on this and then just click on assemble core. And it's going to start placing all of those blocks from out of your inventory. And then it's going to go to build it. This takes kind of a while. I wonder if you can time wind it to make it go a little bit faster. You probably can, but it's inaccessible now. Actually, you know what? For science, I'm going to try it. I'm going to break these guys. Take 2. We're going to try this with the time wand. So I'm going to time one that to the max. I'm stuck in it. Okay, so the time one does work. You just want to be careful not to get stuck in there. And then the guy. Okay, so that should be good. And then once you have this assembled, you're going to need to build your core stabilizers around, and we're going to need 4, I want to say. I think actually you can get away with 2 maybe, but let's try it out. Let's try it out. So we're going to go 3 blocks, and then we'll build 2. I am going to want 4 for sure, but we're going to try with just 2. And I think if I remember correctly, that should work. Invalid configuration. Okay, so it requires more stabilizers. So I guess you do need 4 of them. And I don't exactly remember what the exact range of how far away these can be. I know it's not a specific value, like we could have built it 1 further back and it would have been fine. But I don't, the documentation for Draconic Evolution isn't exactly very clear. So anyways, once that's all done, you built those things, you just click on activate and you can see that it is, it's built. And this thing is basically a gigantic battery and it's going to store Fe into it. So once this is set, I do want to change the colors a little bit. So if you click on, there's the legacy view, which is the old texture, if you guys remember from like 1.12 or whatever. This was very iconic. I guess it still is. But there are the new textures that look like this. And you can actually customize the colors. So if you click on all those things that I just clicked, you will get these 3 color things. So here is the black, which is the color in between all the triangles. Can we make that a little bit darker? So let's make that fully black. And then, whoops, the purple, I am not a fan of purple. So we're going to go dark blue. Something like that. And then this one should be darker as well. I wish you could have the inside, like the red part on the inside also changed, but you can't. So we'll settle for this. So that's it. And then there are a couple of, well, not a couple of ways, but in order to store power inside of it, or like put power in it or extract power from it, we're going to need these pylons. So energy pylons, we'll grab 2 of them, 1 to input power and 1 to pull power from it. And we're also going to need some glass in order to set this up. So 2 pieces of glass. I'm just going to do it right here underneath it, anywhere within range of this. Again, I'm sorry, I don't know the exact range, but you can put this in. If I put the glass on this side, you know, it'll form it there. If I put it on top, it'll form it there. So you just put the glass on top and then it gives you this little multi-block thing that you can use to input power into it and extract from it. And if you take a look down here, this is kind of like the core, and then there's the arrows going out of it. Same with this one. So this one is set to output mode, which will allow you to pull power from this pylon. So you can see 2.14 billion Fe. And if we right click on the globe up here, it's going to change those arrows to inside. So now this is input mode. And if we put a flux point, for example, on this, it's going to input power in there. Now, right now it's 0, and it doesn't show how much power this stores exactly. And I don't know, to be honest. It's near infinite. I have seen on the FTB wiki that it is. So the FTB team's wiki says it is 9.2 quintillion, which is 18 zeros, and I'll post that on the screen so you guys can see. Which is quite a bit of power. It's a little bit more than what we currently have stored in our FE system. So this is what we have now. And that is with three of those FE storage cells, the 256 million ones. So you could technically pack a lot more power with applied flux by just you know, spamming a bunch of these. I mean, you can have 20 to 56 million FE storage cells per extended drive in a 1 block space compared to how big this is. But there's a, you know, a novelty piece to this. But because we have the, we're using applied flux in so many different things, like directly powering machines and whatever, we need those FE cells to be full all the time. And this will be our overflow reserves, basically. So the way I'm going to do that is to just set up a priority for our flux points. So if we look down here, we have our flux point that is connected to all of our turbines. And these guys are, basically everything is full. So that's why it's only putting so little power to it. But we're going to want this to be a priority of 1. Let's make it 2. 1. We'll make it a priority of 1. So all the power is going to go into this first from our turbines, which means it will prioritize our FE cells. And once our FE cells are full, this can be a priority of 2 on the same turbine test network. We're going to put this as a priority of 0, sorry, and then turn on the bypass limit. So now this is doing, you can see 502 million or almost 503 million FE per tick, and that is the overflow that's coming into here. So you can see this is starting to fill up with power, and it is 0% full. And now our turbines should be kicking in full drive. Yeah, so they're fully empty and producing 500 million FE per tick. And if we take a look at our FE in here, you can see that is perfectly stable because, again, this is prioritized. So everything in our, like all of our machines and stuff that are using power, that's getting used up from our FE cell, but this is being kept full because of setting up that priority. So that basically takes care of it. And then on this side, we would pull power from here, however you wanted to do that. So you can either use, I don't know, like another flux plug on this side on another network or whatever, and you can pull from there. We are, I'm going to leave it for now. I don't see a need to, well, we have the overflow over here, but I don't see a need to really do that. I guess we could set up another flux plug on the same network, set with a priority, but then that would loop. Anyways, I'm just going to leave it for now. It's basically what I'm trying to say. And then one other thing to mention about this is when you are inputting and outputting power with this guy, it's maximum integer per side of a pylon. So for example, this guy is going to do 2.14 billion FE per tick on this side. But if you put another one, you could double that basically. So you can put multiple, like if let's, for whatever reason, you're making more than maximum integer power, or you want it to move more than maximum integer, like let's say you wanted to take all 844 trillion FE from your cells and just switch over to using this, then you could put multiple flux points on there and it's going to achieve that. Whereas the flux accessor can actually do maximum long value. So it's 9.1 quintillion, I think, or quadrillion. It's 9 quintillion. So your flux accessor, if this allowed more than maximum integer value transfer, your flux accessor could fill this thing up to 100% in one take, I think, if my numbers are correct. So anyways, that's that. And then just one last thing about this, instead of having it just randomly float in the air like that, I'm going to build a little enclosure for it. Kind of like arms coming out and holding the pylons on the sides. And I'm going to use white concrete to do that so it matches the rest of our, whatever this is called, the rest of our gazebo thing. And we're going to go 5 blocks like this, or just like underneath it. And then I'm going to break those guys. So we'll start with that. And then we're going to need a ramp, these guys. And we'll put this in our offhand. So when we place it down, it's already in there. And we're going to go on the bottom side as well. And then once that's done, we can go up to there. And then we need some special things. This guy, the elevated slope edge. And a bunch of these. So the elevated slope edge will go like so. And then the sloped edges will go in the corners like that. So now it looks like a little thing. And then I'm going to actually poke out the center so you can see the color. And then we need to build little fingers that's going to hold this in place, which I'll continue using these sloped edges like that. Hello? Right, so that is like a little arm looking thing, and it's gonna basically hold our pylons in here like that. So let me finish building the other three, and I'll be right back. I think I'm pleased with this. It might not be as cool as a giant dragon statue flying in the air holding a ball in its mouth, but I think I like the way the arms came out, and it looks right at home and on top of our gazebo. So with our sphere of power, whatever, the energy, what is it called? The energy core, energy cube, energy sphere. It was just the energy core. Anyways, with this setup, let's move on to the next thing, which is the Draconic Evolution Reactor. And I say that with suspense because there's a lot of mystery behind the Draconic Evolution Reactor, but hopefully I can demystify it for you in this episode. I'm going to set this up and hopefully convince you why it's not worth your time. But I'm going to set it up temporarily just so I can show it off, and then we're going to tear it down, and I'm not going to worry about it again. So let's go ahead and first take a look at what it takes to craft. Basically, we're going to need to make the Draconic reactor core. So let's set up a recipe for that. And again, this chaos shard is what goes in the middle, and that's automatically in the first slot. So we're good on there. If you guys remember the fusion core, the way we had it set up in whatever episode that was, basically the thing that goes in the center always has to be in the first slot of your pattern. So do make sure of that. And let's go to make like 5 of them. This core is required for the Philosopher's Fuel, which is used in the star recipe. So it is part of the star. It's required to make the core. Obviously, you don't have to set up the reactor, but the core you do need to make. So we have the recipe set up for that, and then we're going to need all of the stabilizers. So this guy, which is made in there, and then we're going to, so this is a fusion core crafting. Again, this goes in the center, but we do also have to craft all of these individual pieces. And once all those are done, you're going to need the energy injector. This is also made inside of the fusion crafting. And one last thing, we're going to use Flux gates. These are not strictly required. You could use something else, but it is, it's probably in your best interest to use the Flux gates rather than a different system. Like you could do Super Factory Manager, I think, or something else, but we're gonna stick with this and Fusion Core, and I'll show you guys how all of this works. Okay, so with all of that said, let's go ahead and make some of those stabilizers. We're going to need 4 of those stabilizers, and we're going to need an injector, and we're going to need 2 Flux gates. To set this up, let's grab some building blocks. The Draconic Evolution Reactor has a very stout reputation in blowing up people's bases. It does. It's not a safe reactor. It definitely blows up. It blows up a lot. Almost like if you're just experimenting with it and you have no idea what you're doing, there's 100% chance you're going to blow it up. So because of that, most people will build it like very far away from their base in the middle of the void, or in the, in the end, somewhere far, far away from their base. I am kind of crazy. I'm going to build it directly in my base. So this is literally where I'm going to set it up. So let's just wait for those guys. to build. I guess I can put one of the cores down. We're going to have our injector over here, and then we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we'll put the core over here. So this is where the core is. Unfortunately, you can't see the core, the textures. Maybe there's some kind of an iris setting or whatever that I can change. I don't know. If you guys know about it, please let me know in the comments, and I'll try to show it off in a future episode, which is unfortunate, but it's going to be invisible for now. If I turn off shaders, you can see it's still invisible, so it's not a shader issue. I do have the setting turned on to display unknown shaders, so that is turned to true in my world, but it still doesn't show up. And even if we use the 2D resource pack for Draconic Evolution, this guy, witching, so you can see with the 2D textures on, as you can see the Chaos Sword and as well as our chest armor. Those are the 2D textures. It still doesn't show up. So I haven't been able to figure out, although I haven't really looked to try to figure out a way to do it. But anyways, it's invisible. We'll just have to deal with it for now. But anyways, so from the core, we're going to go 5 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I believe the gap can be between 5 to 8 blocks. I'm not sure, but I'm going to choose 5 for now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to need to put those stabilizers, but these stabilizers face towards you. So I'm going to have to add 2 more, and then we can block or break that one and put it like that. So now it's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let me finish that on these guys as well. I accidentally put a flux gate over here. All right, so again, we have our invisible core in the center. 5 blocks away, we've got a stabilizer on each of the north, south, east, west corners. And then below it, over here, we're going to put the injector. And below the injector, do these face towards you as well? We're going to put a flux gate going into the injector, and then below there, we're going to put power into it. And then one of these guys, how about this guy, let's say, we're going to put another flux gate coming out of it. Actually, before we do that, let me show you what these flux gates do. It's literally just a gate that controls how much power flows through it. So if we grab a trash can and we put it over here, and we grab something like a point, we're going to put the point down over here, turn it on to our network, and bypass limits. So you can see, even though this is turned on and outputting energy, there's 0 FE flowing through into this trash can. That's because we have a flux gate over here. That's the flow is 0. So it's not allowing any power to go through. And you have 2 different modes. There's a high and low redstone signal mode. And that basically just means like if there is redstone or not. So the low means like, let's grab a lever and I can show you how this works. So if we put 50, for example, on the low, and we do that, so that means when the redstone signal is low, it's going to allow 50 RF to flow through it. So you can see the flow is 50 RF per tick now. And if we take a look in here, it's not going in. Let's try something like 100,000. So you can see this is flowing at 100,000 FE per tick. But it might not be. It's a little bit weird. It should be 100,000 FE per tick. One of them, either this isn't doing it per tick or the trash can's not doing it per tick. Max 10,000. No, it's unlimited. Yeah. So anyways, that's that. And then, so now we're in the low power mode because our lever is turned off. But if I turn the lever on, it's high power mode and it's going to be 0 because this is set to 0. If we had this at 50,000, for example, and I press apply, then it's going to be 50,000. When I turn the lever back on again, it's going to be 100,000. So based on the low or high, whatever number you set in here is how much FE it's going to allow to flow through this gate. And oh my God, I hate this pick. So that's how we're going to be controlling the RF input and output to the core. So now when we take a look at one of these stabilizers, you can see that the reactor is offline, but it's a valid structure now. It's formed, and we can kind of start messing with it now. I do want to take care of the power situation, and I'm gonna set up a little temporary sub controller, a sub network, to basically be able to see the power flow through it. Let's grab a couple of flux accessors. I'm going to need one more. And we're going to put one flux accessor on this side and another one down here below that guy. And we need to connect those guys with cables. Let's set this guy here. We'll need to power our controller. This is all just for demonstration purposes, just so you guys can see. Boom, boom, boom. And then we'll go, oops, boom, 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 boom. Wow. Okay, and then we need a drive that I will put over there. And we are going to need a throughput monitor and this thing. And we want power to be in it per tick. So this is basically going to show us how much power is flowing in and out of our system. And we do need an FE cell. Let's use a 256 mil one. So here's a 256 mil FE storage cell that we're going to put in here. In order to start this, we're going to have to inject it with some power first, and the cell is obviously empty. So we are going to just place that down and build up a little bit of power in here. And while that's going, if I had to describe what the Draconic Evolution reactor is, it's basically a test of patience in a high-risk environment to produce mid amounts of power. So the risk is very high that you can have this thing blow up, and it'll blow up. I think it's like around a 300 block radius area, and we'll test that out. Or I'll show you guys an explosion at some point. Not here in our base, obviously, but yeah, it's just very finicky to get very mid amounts of power. Like on the higher end, I've seen around 10 to 30 million FE being produced. But that takes a long time. Like it takes a lot of patience, a lot of like slowly bumping up the numbers and keeping it balanced so it doesn't blow up. And we'll get into that. It'll make more sense in just a second. But I'm basically just trying to convince you that it's not worth it. And I'm going to show you how it works just in case you want to mess around with it and kind of what it all means. But especially in this mod pack, there are so many better options for producing power that this is not it. But anyways, that's my little 1 minute over and under on what the core is. Okay, let's remove this. Now we should have enough power. So 4.7 trillion power we have in there. And these flux accessors are going to work. Let's reset this guy. We want these to be 0 for sure. These flux accessors are going to basically be the interface of power for our core, because the core takes both power to keep it sustained and operational while it produces power. So you have to inject power into it with the injector and also pull power out of it. And that's what the power you're getting. And the difference between how much power you're putting into it and how much you're pulling out is how much power you're going to be making, which is going to display on our throughput monitor over here, which is why I set this little thing up over here. So again, from our FE cell, we're going to be injecting power into the core to keep it stable. And then from one of these stabilizers, we're going to be pulling power out into another flux accessor. That's going to be putting the power back into our FE cell. And our throughput monitor will calculate the difference, showing us the total amount of power we're making from the reactor. I hope that makes sense. Basically, I think what this is trying to model, it's not exactly correct, but It's trying to model a fusion reactor, which is basically like the sun is a fusion reaction that's happening. So the nucleus of the atoms are splitting, releasing a giant amount of power. But like the sun is a giant burning ball of, super hot stuff. That's basically how fusion reactions happen. And you need to keep that contained. And because the heat is so high, you need to contain it with a magnetic field. Because if it's like steel or concrete or whatever, it's just gonna melt eventually because it's the temperature is so intense. And in order to generate a magnetic field that is powerful enough to contain that reaction, it takes an insane amount of power. And that's why in real life making fusion reactors has been such a challenge, is because it's kind of crazy. We're like basically trying to create a little sun inside of a reactor. So anyways, with that out of the way, let's take a look at this. In the fuel for this guy is going to be our awakened draconium blocks, and you can only put 8 in here. So you can see when I click it in there, 8 goes in there, and we can charge it, and now that brings up all of these things. So before we can turn this reactor on, we have to warm it up, and you can see there's some bars over here that kind of show some information. On the left, we have the core temperature. That's basically how hot the sun is. Over here, we have the containment field strength. That's like the magnetic field around containing the sun. So if this containment field is too weak and it cannot hold it, it'll turn into a meltdown and your thing will blow up. Over here, we have the energy saturation. I don't remember exactly what the energy saturation is, but it's basically the balance between how much power you're pulling out and how like stable it is. Because if you're pulling out too much power, then this energy saturation goes out of whack. And if it goes too low, you're going to have a explosion again. Like let's say you try to extract 30 million Fe per tick out of it, it's going to explode because the energy saturation is going to be too low. So you do have to leave some amount of energy in there, and the green is the sweet spot. So you want to be around the middle, the 50% mark. And then lastly, we have the fuel conversion level. And as you remember those 8 awakened draconium blocks that we put in there, so that is your fuel. So right now the conversion rate is 0 because we haven't converted any of that fuel over. As this reactor is running, that fuel is slowly going to convert over into chaos materials. So if we take a look at the chaos shards, I think maybe JEI will show. But these little shards you can actually get from the reactor as well, but it's not shown over here. So eventually when your reactor, you shut it down, you see how this chaos is out. Eventually when you shut it down and when this fuel conversion level goes up high enough, if it reaches 100%, it's going to explode. But that takes a really long time. But basically anyways, what I'm trying to say is this awakened draconium block will convert into chaos shards. That is how it's set up. But anyways, we're going to click on charge. And now it's on the warming up stage, but nothing is happening because both of our flux gates are at 0. So we're not injecting any power into it or pulling anything out. Obviously, the thing hasn't started yet, so we don't want to pull any power out just yet. But we do want to start inserting some power into it. That way we can, we can start building up the shield and all that stuff. So I'm going to start with 1,000,000 Fe per tick. And we're going to hit apply. And you can see there's some noises. So this thing's injecting power into it. And at this point, you would see the reactor like kick on and the whole animation happening. It's actually pretty cool. I'll try to post a picture of what it actually looks like. But it is invisible for us at the moment. So we'll just have to deal with it. Anyways, so while that is going, the first thing that's going to happen is your containment field is going to go up to 50%. Then your energy saturation is going to rise up to about around 50% as well. And once both of those are at 50%, your heat, your core temperature, is going to start going up to around 2000. So if your core temperature is too low, you're going to have an explosion. If your containment field strength goes to 0, you're going to have an explosion. If your energy saturation goes to 0, you're going to have an explosion. If your fuel conversion level goes up to 100%, you're going to have an explosion. So lots of ways to explode this thing, and it's very, very finicky. So right now it is fully charged up. Our core temperature is above 2000 degrees Celsius, and we're ready to activate it. So I'm going to click on activate, and you can see this dropped at a alarming rate really quickly, but now it's going back up, and our energy saturation is going up again. So because we're not pulling any power out from this reactor, it's only receiving power now, and we're not pulling anything out. That's why the energy saturation is going up, because we're only inserting power into it. As well as the containment field, because we're only putting power into it and not pulling anything out, the containment field strength is going to be up really high. And then as you start to, these are okay if they go up. They're you know, it's not going to cause an explosion. I don't think. I'm going to wait to see if this reaches 100%. The energy saturation. Maybe that'll also cause an explosion. I don't know. There's lots of ways to blow this thing up. But don't worry about it blowing up. So it's at 99.9% saturation. I wonder if it'll reach 100. Let's see. We are almost fully maxed out on the saturation. And I'm gonna see, I've never actually waited for this to go up all the way, because there's no point, but we're gonna see if it causes issues or not. Oh, come on. I miscalculated how long it was gonna take to go up there. I started talking too soon. Oh my god, come on. It really starts to slow down, and you'll get a feel for it if you play around with it. The numbers don't change at the same rate. Okay, it looks like it stopped below that. So there's no issues with having too much energy saturation or the containment field strength. More the merrier. All right, so now we're basically using 1,000,000 FE per tick from our cell. So you can see that is going down, and that power we're using just to basically keep this stable. I like to start out at 1,000,000. You can go lower if you want, not a problem, but basically we're at a time right now where we can start pulling power from it, and that's going to be our power generation. A good place to start is 1,000,000, because that's how much we're putting into it, right? So I'm gonna do this, and I'm using the low so I don't have to worry about levers, but you can put levers if you wanted to control it that way. So here we go. So you can see I put it up to 1,000,000, and now the generation rate is slowly going up, and you can see our containment field is going down, as well as our energy saturation. And as your energy saturation drops, at some point it's going to start slowing down, stabilize, and then going back up. So if we take a look right here, you can see it really starting to slow down now. And this is where the patience comes in. As you draw more and more power, this energy saturation, you're going to have to wait for it to stabilize and then start climbing back up. So you can see it's really slowing down now. And it's, yep, there it is. So it's starting to climb back up now. So that took a little while, maybe like a minute or so. And then it's going to start slowly climbing back up. That means it's stable now, and it's actually, the energy saturation is going up, the containment field is going up as well. So it's becoming more and more stable, which means it's time for us to pull more power. And I'm going to jump up quite a bit. I'm going to go up to 2,000,000, double the amount of power we're pulling out. So again, you can see this is going to start to drop, but it's dropping at a pretty reasonable rate, so I'm not concerned about it. We can go take a look at this thing. So you can see we're generating 1,000,000 FE per tick. This takes a few seconds to update. But basically we're injecting 1,000,000 FE per tick to keep it stable, to basically run the containment field. And then we're pulling out 2,000,000 FE per tick, and the difference of that is 1,000,000. So that's how much power we're making. Let's take a look at this guy. Its containment field's going down to about 50%, which is fine. This is still really high, so I'm gonna keep pushing the numbers. So instead of 2,000,000, we're gonna jump up to 3,000,000. And you can see this is going to start dropping again, and this is going to start dropping. And this is it. So you just basically sit here and play around with the numbers. And as this runs longer, your energy saturation will level off and then start to increase. So let's say we go up to like 5 million and it's like down here in the red. We're gonna have to wait, because if we bump it up anymore, it's gonna drop down to 0 and explode, right? So right now it's starting to become stable again. So it's at 3 million. I'm gonna go up to 4 million. And you can see this is going down. Our heat is starting to rise. But again, these are not moving way too quickly for me to, like, we can still shut it down and like finagle with it. So I'm not too concerned, even though this is dangerously low. But this is starting to level off. This is going 13, 12, 11. So you can see it's kind of, this would make a lot of people nervous. It's not making me that nervous. But I want to see if it'll start to go up, but it's still continuing to go down. It's not going to go to 0, so I'm not worried about that. But anyways, if this is freaking you out and you're like, oh my god, it's going to explode, then just bump this up a little bit. So we went from 1 million on this to 4 million, right? So now our net gain is 3 million FE per tick. We can bump this up to like 1.1 million, right? And that is gonna start dramatically increasing our energy shield. So it's only 100 million or 100,000 FE that we gave up. So now we should be making 2.9 million FE per tick. But that's gonna give us more headroom in our containment field to once this energy saturation goes up, so we can extract more and more power from it. So I'm gonna go up even more on this one. So let's say 1.2 million FE. And then because this looks to me pretty high, I'm gonna bump this up to 5 million FE per tick. And you really don't wanna start moving it by a full million every time. Because we're getting pretty low over here. So we're gonna have to go in smaller increments and wait a longer amount of time for the saturation to go up. But you can see this is still dropping pretty fast. So let's bump this up. You can see we'll go 1.25. You can hear it like going crazier. It's like, and here it is going back up. So just 50,000 more FE made that go up. But that allowed us to basically extract the full million more power. So right now this thing is making 3.7 million FE per tick, and you can leave it and it'll be fine making that much power. And over time, it's going to, the energy saturation is going to start to rise, as well as the containment field. So you can see it's very slowly going up. But that's where the patience comes in, because now we just have to leave this for like 15 hours for it to go up high enough where we can start extracting more power. And basically, I've seen people in a few hours get to around 10 million FE per tick. So again, it was really quick to get to like 3.7 million. It's going to take much longer to get to 10 million. And then I've seen people get to 30 million, but that was all the way at the end of the fuel conversion cycle. So this entire time that this has been running, it's been 0.18% of the conversion level. So you would really have to wait until this is all the way up to the top before you're making 30 million FE per tick. And then you would have to shut down the reactor, refuel it, and start this process all over again, and it's again slowly build it up. So that's why to me it's not really worthwhile to mess around with this, with how finicky it is and how easy it is to just input a wrong number and immediately cause an explosion. And again, when this is exploding, you can't stop it. It'll explode, and it's a 300 block radius area. There is a way to bypass the explosion, and that's why I'm not worried about building it in our base. So just to show you, like once we're kind of dangerously low over here, right? Let's say I go up to 6 million FE per tick, you know, and I said 1 million increments was a lot. But if I do that, you can see this starts to drop, and you hear the noise kicking up, and there we go. It just exploded. So now we have a meltdown. Explosion is imminent in 120 seconds. So in 2 minutes, our reactor is going to blow up. There is no way to stop the overload. The stabilizers are fried. I suggest you run. This is going to destroy everything within a 300 block radius, including our base. But there's one slight miscalculation of this super powerful fusion sun energy. It's not as strong as cardboard. So you can take a cardboard box and try to locate this guy. There we go. Meltdown contained, defeated by cardboard. And you can literally take this guy and just trash it and put up a new core and start again. So don't be afraid to mess around with it. If you do have a meltdown, just be quick and grab it with the cardboard box, and you can prevent your base from exploding. That's why I'm not worried about it, really. And that's why I could do this. So let's set this up again one more time. I'm going to leave this at 1.25. This guy we're going to put back to 0 because it's not warmed up or anything at all. And we're going to bring this back up and put down our new core and start this process all over again. So we go over here, we put in our fuel, we give it a charge. Because that 1.25 million FE is active on there, it immediately starts charging it. So our containment field went up to 50%. Our energy saturation is going to go up to 50%. And then our core temperature is going to go up to 2000 degrees, and then we can activate it. All right, so now we press activate. This goes down a little bit and it's starting to go up, and we can start extracting power. I'm going to say 2 million. So it's very easy. You can like accidentally put an extra 0 and try to extract 20 million. As soon as you click apply, the thing's going to blow up, like you're screwed. So you do have to be careful with that, and that's where the cardboard box trick is handy. So if keep one with you on your inventory. If that happens, just put the cardboard box around the reactor and prevent yourself the meltdown. So you can see 2 million. We're still looking good. We're going to go up to 3 million. That's going to drop a bit more. Heck, we're going to go up to 4 million because I know it's. You could probably start off with like 1 and 4, and it would be fine. So this is starting to slow down now. I feel confident that we can leave this at our base. The problem is when you run away, so you can like hear it when it's having a meltdown. But if you run away just even a few blocks, you're not going to be able to hear it. And if you're not supervising this very finicky child reactor, it's going to blow up and you're not going to be able to save your base. So I would recommend monitoring it. If you're going to have it near your base, you should also be nearby and be ready with a cardboard box just in case. But I'm feeling a little frisky today, so we're going to leave this here and take this box and go see how much of something it'll blow up. So if I take a look over here, we can go to where we had our Chaos Dragon fight, and I'm gonna set off an explosion over here and see how much area it destroys. So let's go in this direction. Oh, and one more thing, guys, don't use a time wand on the core. I tried it a few times. No matter what you do, as soon as you time wand it, it just blows up immediately. So I don't know if I'm missing something or what, but you've been warned. No time wands with the energy core. Let's actually go over here. Oh wow, look at that! It's all the dragon things, fireballs, rendering and exploding. I wish there was somewhere where it had more land, but we'll just try over here. This should be pretty decent, I think. Or do we want to go like somewhere back here? Whatever. So I'm gonna put this guy down and remove the cardboard box. It is blown up, having a full-on meltdown, and you can see if I get close to it, I'm like deflected away. That's because the core, like when you first put it, it's that tiny little thing, but when you activate it, it turns into a larger thing. And this is, I wish I could access it to see the countdown on it, but it is going to kill us. We have our 3, what is it called? The evoker. What are those things? The totems of undying. We have the 3 in our armors. So it's probably going to kill us at least a couple times, maybe even 3 times. I don't know, but I want to be close enough. We can kind of tell how close it is to blowing up based on how frequently the noise is happening. But let's give it some time. I think every time you put a cardboard around it, it resets the timer, so... That's why it's taken a while. Because I spent a long time before I really let it cook for a while next to my base before we captured it with a cardboard box, but... Oh my god, hurry up. Blow up. Blow up. I wish explosions in Minecraft were a little bit more exciting. It's usually like the explosion happens, you have like some frame lag, and then you just see a bunch of missing blocks. That's how explosions work in Minecraft, but it's not as exciting as you might think. I hope it reaches out there. It definitely will reach. Oh, dude, brother, you're gonna get it. Oops, I looked at it. Come here, come next to the thing. These guys are all gonna die. Endermen will be hurt in the making of this video. At this point, I feel like this is not blowing up. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so it blew up. There is some lag. There's a gigantic crater. That guy didn't die. Holy crap. Oh no, he died. I'm dying too. So you can see I'm taking a lot of damage. We didn't actually die. Oh, there's more damage. Okay, we died once. We died twice. I hope that's it. I don't want to actually die. We didn't die. Here it is. Here's the crater. And yeah, it flattened that hill back here. Wow, look at that. So that is what it will do to your base. It is a big crater. It spawns lava everywhere. It makes a gigantic mess. Please use the cardboard box if you're going to do this near your base. So there we go. Let me take a picture of this for the thumbnail. It's kind of cool. If I didn't notice any Endermen over here, but you can kind of see a shockwave of it like going out, and it'll just like kill all the Endermen. It's a pretty cool sight. But anyways, let's go back to our base. You're wondering how I did that. I'm using the advanced dislocator, this thing, and I have a hotkey for it to teleport back to our base. So anytime I press T, I come back to our base. Anyways, let's check up on this guy. So this guy we left for a little bit, and you can see the energy saturation has gone up a lot more, which means now we can move this up to 5 million FE per tick. And this is the game. Like, you just do that, go away for a while, let it stabilize, let it build up energy saturation, and then move it up more. And by smaller increments, you know, like 5 million. If it's really up here, you can move it by 1 million, but really after the 5 million mark, I would start at least at most doing 500,000 FE per tick increments, maybe even less, depending on how courageous you are, how ballsy you are. So this guy's still going down, but it'll stabilize, so I'm not worried about it. Our core temp is pretty high now. If that gets too high, that's a problem, or if it gets too low, it's again a problem. But this is going up, so our energy saturation is stable, which means this guy's still going down, but oh no, he's going up now. So there we go. Now we can leave this and go do whatever. This isn't gonna, once those numbers are going up, they're not gonna randomly start going down until you increase the how much power you're drawing from it. So yeah, that's it. And I think while it's running, if you try to break it, it's also gonna have a meltdown. If you try to time wind it, I'm not going to time wind it because the time wind, I think, also speeds up how fast the countdown happens. So if I time wind it, it's going to blow up, but the countdown's going to happen faster, and I'm scared I might accidentally destroy my base. So we're going to leave it there. But anyways, if you were patient enough and you wanted to achieve something most people don't care about. You can sit here and every couple hours increase this number, and by the end of the fuel cycle, you will probably reach around 30 million FE per tick in generation. Whereas with absolutely no risk and no patience required, our 8 turbines are making 500,000 FE per tick, which is so much more than 30. And the problem is that it's not even like, once you hit 30, it's not like you just have 30 million generation. You run out of your fuel cycle and then you have to shut it down and start again. So it's kind of annoying. Anyways, that in my opinion is why it's not worth it. It's kind of interesting to play around with and whatever, and hopefully this demonstration demystifies it so you guys will like actually understand what it is and how it works. But yeah, my very first experience, I'll tell you guys a quick story. I think it was All the Mods 9 to the Sky, my very first experience with this thing. I couldn't find any real information about it, so I was just like messing around with it. I literally set the thing up and I typed in a number where I was like pulling out like 1 million FE per tick or something. I forget what it was, but literally the first number that I put in, I click apply and the thing immediately exploded. Like I didn't even understand what happened. Like I just set it up and it immediately exploded and everything was in ruins. I set it up in a compact machine, but because the range is so big, I think it leaked into some of my other compact machines. And anyways, I wasn't aware of the cardboard box trick back then. So that's that. I guess before we end the episode, let's quickly talk about the energy crystals. And maybe that's a good time to shut this thing off. I'm going to shut it down. It does take a little while, so sometimes you can shut it down and you'll still have a meltdown. But you can see it takes a little bit for the core to cool down and stuff. So we're going to let that go, and let's talk about those energy crystals. It's a cool way of doing wireless power. It's not the best. I mean, Flux Networks is pretty great, but let's see, make some recipes for these crystals. So let's make some of these wireless energy crystals. How about like 16 of them? Actually, it's just like 4. We don't even need that many. And we'll make one of these IO cores. And it's going to take a second because it's a crafting in the thing. This basically is a way of doing wireless power with Draconic Evolution. And it's pretty interesting, but also seems somewhat limited. I honestly don't have a ton of experience with it. Maybe you guys can let me know if I'm doing something wrong. But let's take a look at it. What is that wrench from Draconic Evolution? You're gonna need this, the crystal binder. Kitty's still binded. Okay, and then basically what happens is this crystal or the IO crystal can pull power from something. So let's say this flux accessor, right? This is going to be attached to that. Now you can see the charge is 64 million FE, but if I put this one down, it's 0, right? Because this guy is pulling from the flux accessor. It's pulling from our FE cell. So you need to somehow provide power to the IO crystal so you can put it on whatever. And then you can put these energy crystals somewhere, like let's say in here. We can put it on the ceiling over here, and we need to charge this guy up. So and this guy doesn't get power directly from, like if I put the flux accessor over here, you can see that this guy has 0 charge. So the only way this fills up with power is with the IO crystal. And you can shift right click to select it, and then whoops, and then go over here and right click to this guy. Now those are linked, and you can see this is charged now. So it's up to, it's full now. And I can shift right click on this guy and right click on some machines, and it's going to output power to the face of those machines that you're looking at. So if I look at the face, it'll be that targeting that face, just like that. So now all of these machines are wirelessly being powered by this crystal, which is getting its power from the IO crystal over here. And that's basically how this works. So if I could demonstrate that, we'll look inside of our SFM code, and here where we're outputting power to all those things, I guess I can do it here because it's only one line. Here's 2 lines. And once we do that, you can see this guy. So everything that is linked is remaining full on power. These guys aren't linked, and you can see they've already run out of power. But if I link it, that you can see it's full of power again. So from what I can tell, I believe this crystal does 500,000 FE per tick per link. So each one of these machines is getting up to 500,000 FE per tick. I don't know if there, it doesn't seem to me you can do more than that, which seems weird to me, because how can you have a thing that can generate more power than that and not be able to move it? So it makes me feel like I'm doing something incorrectly. So let's pick that guy up and test this out real quick. So this guy can receive, so we have no limits on how fast this flux accessor can move power, right? And so if we put an energy crystal over here, I wonder if this is going to work, or do we need a separate, not a valid device. Oh, link that guy to that. Is this going to show us something interesting? By the way, this, where's our core? I can break it now. And we'll remove these guys. Again, that was just a temporary setup. I think it's weird because I'm looping it back into the thing. So let's set up another controller over here and give this guy power. I guess we don't even need the controller. We just need the drive, right? Here's a 1 million FE cell with a drive. And we need this guy. And wrench to that. So now we'll be able to see how much power this is losing per tick. Just give it a few seconds for it to update. So you can see, I think it's 512,000 FE per tick is what I was getting before. Yeah, 515. So that just seems so low. Like, how can you, with Draconic Evolution, handle power transfers more than that for the from your reactor? Like, do you have to use a different mod to handle the FE from that? That seems strange. Is that the case? Maybe I'm missing something, but anyways. I think that's going to do it for this episode, guys. And that's going to wrap up our Draconic Evolution chapter. There are, I guess, okay, before we end, there are a few other things like the entity detector, which can detect like specific animals or mobs or whatever. The energy transfuser, I don't know what this does. But probably nothing too crazy. This thing's just like a demagnetizer. We talked about the energy crystals. The chest is kind of cool because it has like a furnace and a crafting recipe for it. The generator, I think, just burns like coal and stuff to produce small amounts of power. And we have the mob grinder, which kills monsters, which can be kind of neat. But that's about it. And then all the tools and stuff is obviously great. My favorite, I mean, the two things you really kind of want from Draconic Evolution, I guess, I mean, the armors and stuff and the weapons, the bow, all really, really good. But obviously the, whatever that thing is, the Celestial Manipulator and the Dislocator. This is so good, the advanced Dislocator, because you can set up hotkeys for it. Like, you can blink around and you can set up a hotkey for whatever thing is selected. Like, let's say it's our base that's selected, and I have it set to my T hotkey. So every time I press T, it just teleports me back to my base. So if I'm like in the middle of nowhere, I can just come right back. And you can set that to like whatever location it is, or if you just right click on it, it'll take you to that location that you have set up. So it's a really, in my opinion, it's the fastest, most powerful teleport system. That's like just really quick and good. Better than, you know, like Tempad and all those other things as well. But anyways, that's where I'm going to leave it for this episode, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to finish this up. I have been messing around with, oh my God, I keep rambling. I've been messing around with Stone Block 4 just a little bit, just to dip my toes in. And it's been actually a lot of fun, and I can't wait to jump into that pack with you guys. So that's coming soon. I'm not exactly sure when. I do want to keep continuing with this mod pack also. I don't like leaving things unfinished. So we are gonna keep chugging along with this one, and then maybe at some point, either before or after this finishes, we'll jump into Stone Block 4. But like I said in the previous episode, wintertime is my busy season. I'm going to be trying to ski a lot this year, and holidays are coming up. So everything's happening, but we're going to keep going. I'm not going to disappear. Don't worry. I have appreciated seeing all of the lovely comments you guys have been leaving for me, and I try to respond to every single one that I can. I do appreciate that. And people DM me on Discord and stuff, and I love talking to you guys. So anyways, with all that said, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.